Today we're doing something a little different. We're going to do a bit of a challenge video here, but it's not going to involve fishing for snook or jack. I'm genuinely pretty tired of fishing for snook and jack. I'm sure some of you guys are tired of watching me do it too. We're going to do a $25 Walmart challenge video. I have $29 in my wallet, so we'll take 25 of that, and that will be for our challenge right there. So basically, rules of the game are, we're going to go to Walmart, we're going to buy a whole setup, lures and line for under $25. I think we can do it. Hopefully we can do it for under $25. And then we're going to go bass fishing, see if we can make it happen. I think it should be interesting. I think it should be fun. Also, you notice, rocking the man bun again since you guys liked it so much. I think that is the most likes I might have ever had a comment get, and it was about my hair for some reason, which is just so disheartening. Yeah, we're going to do this challenge video. Got 25 bucks, $25 Walmart challenge video. Also, in my last video, in a Q&A I did, I mentioned I was going to do a giveaway with Sports Authority gift card. I think that joke went over a lot of your guys' head. Sports Authority went out of business like 2 years ago. This doesn't mean anything anymore. So there's no giveaway, actually, unless you want that sub-club card that I mentioned, unless you want that thing right there. But, yeah, Sports Authority isn't a thing anymore, so that's not going to happen. Yeah, but we're going to get cracking. We're going to run to Walmart. Got my 25 bones, and we're going to see if we can make it happen. Alright, we're here in the fishing part right now. Behind me I got a bunch of different reels, so I already have been looking at them, and I think this is what we're going to go with right here. It's $10 Shakespeare reel. It's got line already on it, so that'll save us on line costs. And then there's just a $9 spinning reel right here, or spinning rod. That's just a little tiny 6-foot spinning rod. It's only $9, so that puts us at about 20 bucks. So I now have $5 for tackle. So this is going to be cutting it close. This is literally the cheapest reel I could find. And the combos are like $24, so see if we can make it happen. I think realistically our only actual option here is to see if we can grab 2 spinner baits, because they're only $1 a piece right there. And that's like, we're literally going to have to call it on 2 spinner baits and this swim bait, and I think that's all we can get away with.
Select a language to begin.
I think we're done for. Done shopping, back in the car. So the total came out to be $25.28, but that was with tax. Without tax, it was $23.62. So I'm going to say fair game. We're still in the regulations here. We beat it perfectly without tax, and even with tax, we were only 28 cents over. Not a big deal. So we're going to go find some largemouth bass, and when we get to the spot, I'm going to go over the gear that we got and what we're going to be working with here. Alright, we've made it, we've arrived. I'll show you what we're dealing with here. So this is I just realized this rod is 5 feet tall. This is a 5-foot Shakespeare spinning rod. I think it's a 2-piece. Yeah, it's definitely a 2-piece spinning rod right here. That's no big deal. It's only 5 feet tall, so not gonna have very much casting distance. That's okay though. It was more about, this is the cheapest rod I can find. And then right here we have a Shakespeare Durango, is what it's called. It's got a 10-pound mono on it. Has 1 bearing, it says, which is not a lot, but I think it'll be okay for fishing in fresh water. And 10-pound test, that's like kind of perfect. It's a little light in my opinion, but I know to some people up north, they're like 10-pound test, that's like right on the money, 10 to 12. But for me, it's kind of small, but I think this will do well right here. It doesn't feel like a bad reel, but we'll see what happens. And then baits, we really had to skimp down on baits because we tried to keep it under $25. 2 little swim baits right here that only costed $1.30. And then these two spinner baits were $1 a piece right there. So that is what we're rocking with. Luckily, it is kind of windy out, so we might be able to catch a fish on a spinner bait. And honestly, it's summertime, it's really hot. I would have preferred to slow drag a Texas rig or something like that, or maybe throw a topwater frog and some lily pads when it really got later in the day. But if I did a Texas rig, I would have to buy weights, worms, and hooks, and that just would have been too much money, and we would have easily busted over our limit here. But we're gonna rig up our little 5-foot stick and get throwing. We're gonna start throwing and see if we can get on some largemouth. I think it's doable. You know, I think it's just more about the fun and the interestingness of knowing, like, hey, you don't have to drop $300 to get out and catch bass. You know, you could drop 25 bucks and get out and have a good day. Or even, you know, I don't know how long this setup will even last. Maybe it'll last a long time. Who knows? But that's what we're doing. I just realized right now I'm talking about this rod actually goes with this reel, and I picked them out separately. They're both Durangos. The Durango Shakespeare, and this is a Durango spinning reel. We're styling today. We're gonna be styling on these people. Get your Metaniums, get your Aldebarans, get them out of here. We're throwing freaking Durangos today. All right, we're gonna mainly be filming from the GoPro now that we're fishing, because I'm gonna be doing a lot of walking along the bank, and so I just don't want to have to carry around my big camera and a tripod. I want to be able to focus on fishing, but got our little Durango here. I love this little snub nose handle and got a spinner bait. So we're gonna see if we can make it happen. I can see a bunch of gar sitting down here, but all right, let's put that little swim bait on. I'm just gonna slow roll it right across over here. Oh, what the heck? I freaking had a fish on. Oh, I just lost a bass right there. I had 2 hits, and they really like this swim bait. I'm very glad I bought this thing instead of 3 spinner baits, because I almost did that. I'm gonna have to whale the hook into a fish because there's just no backbone in this rod. I'm using mono. Ooh, I just got hammered. God. The reel's not going to be my downfall. It's going to be the rod. It's what's going to give me a hard time here, because it's really hard to set the hook on this little thing. Oh, gosh, cranked. Oh my gosh, it's a gar. He threw that swim bait right back at me. Okay. Well, I don't think we're going to have trouble like getting fish to bite today. It's going to be keeping a fish hooked. That just happened to be a gar, and that was random. But they're really digging this little white swim bait, which I was literally just kind of a spur of the moment. Like, I really didn't even think about picking this white swim bait up. Oh, I got a fish. Skate in, boy. Oh no, he's wrapped in lilies. No. No. Oh, he just freaking came off. Wait. No, he's that small. He's still on, baby. Oh my gosh. Well, about a 7-inch largemouth bass right there to finally get us on the board here. There he goes. Well, I'll tell you what, it is harder than heck to set the hook on a fish with this rod right here. Because, I mean, this thing just completely bends in half. Oh, I had a fish on right there. There's just a culvert pipe coming out right here, and so I'm just dropping this little shad right into the culvert pipe. And the current is ripping through here. There's a fish. Oh no, he just came off. He fell back into the water. I want to take a break to talk to you guys about something for a second. Now, you've probably heard me complaining this whole time I've been out here saying I'm having a hard time setting the hook on the bass, you know, because this rod is very flexible. You know, first and foremost, this channel, you know, it's supposed to be entertaining, but I want you guys to learn something and take something away from it, because I know a lot of you guys are new to angling and fishing, or you're just getting into things, so you might not know these things, and it's just stuff that I've learned over time, you know, growing up by making mistakes and stuff like that. So this is a $9 rod, and there's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing great about it. I'll put it that way, you know. In my opinion, whatever your price range is, whatever gets you outdoors and gets you fishing, enjoying nature and wildlife, that is great. You know, there shouldn't be a price range on who gets the fish and who doesn't. But I want to talk something, you know, I see a lot of channels, they do these tester videos, and they're just meant for entertainment purposes more than anything, where, you know, they test like, oh, how strong is an ugly stick, how strong is this or that, and they do these crazy things, and they bend these rods in half, and like, oh, can you believe how strong this rod is? you know, that's funny and it's cool, and I mean, I think it's funny too that this thing is bending in half completely, but that's not the sign of a good rod. And so I don't want you guys to be misled. Just because this rod is strong and can take a beating doesn't mean it's necessarily a great rod. There's a reason I'm having trouble hooking and keeping fish on, is because there's such little backbone in this rod that when you just set the hook, even just like this little tug, you see how far down my nose bends, or the tip of my rod bends with just a little tug like that. You know, you want your rod to have some flexibility and give to it, but you need a good backbone for a firm hook set. And so, you know, when you're looking for rods, it doesn't matter the price range, but when you get rods that are like noodles like this, you're gonna have a hard time setting hook, because you're just not having anything to really deliver that hook set. And especially when you pair that with mono or fluorocarbon, you have that stretch, and then you have this bend in the rod. It's going to make it very difficult to hook fish. And so I just want you guys to keep that in mind if you're thinking about getting new rods. I just want you guys to be informed, because I see a lot of stuff and I feel like it's a lot of misinformation, that it's not always a good thing that you can bend your rod in a half circle. Actually, typically is going to make it harder on you, unless you're just using circle hooks in live baiting, or treble hooks like with a crankbait. It's not too big of a deal. Like if I was throwing maybe like a little rattle trap or a crankbait on here, it wouldn't be that bad, because when you're using those treble hooks, it sets the hook on itself, and so that big bend in the rod can actually be not a bad thing, and it won't pull the treble hooks out. But when you're using baits that are just single hooks or J hooks, anything like that, like a spinner bait, swim bait, Texas rig, it's going to be very difficult to get a firm, solid hook set into that fish when you're using a rod with such bendable action into it. But keep that in mind. You want a rod that has a backbone but still has some action in the tip for working whatever type of bait you want to work, but you need a good backbone to actually get a solid hook set. And that's what I'm struggling with today, is I'm not able to keep a good hook into any of these fish, because paired with this mono flexible rod, it's just difficult to keep a hook pinned. But I just want to give my 2 cents, give you guys some information on what's going on. Alright, gonna move spots here. Alright, I'm at my last location. We're going to fish for the night. Drove for about 20 minutes to get to a new spot, and just been hiking for probably 5 minutes or so. And we're going to start throwing spinner baits. Really the only thing I've left, because those 2 little swim baits, they worked well, but they both got destroyed really quickly while fishing. So we're going to top out the day throwing a spinner bait. I think I said it earlier, I would 100% rather be throwing right now a frog or a spook or any type of topwater. Even a little popper would probably work really well right now. But we are stuck with what we're stuck with right there. So we're going to throw spinner bait around for a little bit, see if we can hook up with one more fish before the night's over, and then we'll call it a day. I mean, look at this lily pad field right here to my right. Does that not look like you should be throwing a hollow-bodied frog right up in there and getting smashed? What I really should have done, I didn't really even think about it at all, is I should have gotten just one spinner bait and then got a buzz bait as well with those 2 little swim baits, and that would have kept me around the same price. But I was worried about, you know, getting one particular color of a spinner bait and it not working, so I wanted to get 2, because spinner baits were the cheapest traditional bass bait they had there. Really, they're only 99 cents a piece. Alright, that's going to be my last cast right here, because unfortunately this park closes at sunset. Like, they close the gates at sunset, so I gotta get out of here in a second. Alright, we're going to close this video back out at the house. Alright, we are back at the house and done closing out our challenge video right here. Our little $25 combo. You know, it was a lot of fun, and it was nice doing something a little different and not being in the boat and fishing for snook and jack like I do almost every day. It's probably been a couple months since I've gone bass fishing, so it's really nice to do that. And it's just something so cathartic and relaxing and nice about getting out into the woods and, you know, just listening to the birds and the wind and the water and all that kind of stuff, and just really being out there in the moment and fishing. Even if you're not catching fish, it's really just a beautiful and wonderful thing sometimes. Talk about the gear here for a second. You know, the reel, give it a 7 out of 10. You know, it held up well. I think if you wanted to use it for panfish, this whole setup, I think, in general would be excellent for panfish like bluegill and crappie, sunfish, that kind of stuff. This reel, it worked well, no complaints. I will say the drag system, like a lot of lower end reels, you either have hammered or you have no drag at all. There's not much of a difference. And when you're bass fishing or fishing for bluegill, it's not that big of a deal, at least for little bass, I should say. The rod, I talked about it for a while, so I won't say too much about it. You want to find the difference between a flexible rod and a good rod. It's not the same thing. But, like I said, for a panfish setup, I think this would be excellent. This rod for bass fishing, it was very difficult. I do think that I probably lost 2 or 3 fish solely because I couldn't get a solid hook set into a fish using this rod and the combination with the monofilament on it. There was just so much stretch and give that it really wasn't driving the point home on the hook. And that can make a difference between keeping a fish on and landing a fish. But I do firmly believe that today could have been more successful if we had a bigger option of baits. For the sake of the challenge, I was trying to keep everything under $25, and if I would have bought hooks, worms, and bullet weights, that would have put me over easily, so I had to go with spinner baits. But I do think that if we had different bait options, this would have been a different day. If you guys have any ideas or video suggestions for maybe it's challenges, maybe it's just fish you want to see me target, let me know below. I read those comments. I really appreciate them. Also, got some exciting trips planned coming up. Just booked a flight to somewhere that'll be forthcoming. But I'm done for the day. If you enjoyed the video, leave a big fat like, subscribe if you're new to the channel or if you haven't already, all that good stuff. But I'm done. I appreciate you guys. Until next time.